Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to build a knife that I'm calling the Alaskan Moose Hunter. Now it's based off of a knife that I designed and built a few months ago, a while ago, called the Moose Hunter. It's designed as a general purpose field dressing and camp chore knife. I had somebody from Alaska contact me who does quite a bit of moose hunting, and they wanted a beefed up version with a finger guard. I'm calling this the Alaskan Moose Hunter. Now, as you're probably aware, a lot of the knives I make are forged. Some of them are stock removal. I have a combination, and I don't know the exact ratio, but it depends on the particular model or design of the knife. The pattern for this knife is this right here. Now, this is not the actual profile of the finished knife, and so you might be wondering how that actually works. The first step is to get our 3/16" thick steel stock, put our pattern on there. We're going to trace around it. And I'm going to make multiples of these because I'm making it, and we might as well make a couple because I know there's going to be other people out there that are going to want to have one. So I can get 4 out of this steel, these steel lengths here, and then I'm going to have a drop that will end up probably being a little forged blade at some point in the future. Use as much of the steel as we can so we can cut this at an angle and save as much of it as we can, and that'll give us a bigger piece on the drop here at the end. Now you notice on this piece of steel I put both of the templates the same direction because there's a mill edge on this side, and I don't want to have the edge of the knife on the mill edge or near that. I mean, it's probably okay, but if there was any decarb or anything like that, I just want to make sure it's away from there. That's the reason for doing it that way on this piece of steel. So we've got our weight reduction holes and our handle bolt holes drilled and deburred. Next step is to grind out the initial profile in these like we traced out in the beginning. All right, so that's just the basis of what we're doing here. Now the magic starts to happen. Next, we'll get these going on a normalizing cycle. All right, these knives are now done with an annealing cycle, spheroidizing, which means the steel is now soft. I'm using pre-slotted brass. I mean, it's just a chunk of brass at this point, but it's got a slot milled in it. It doesn't actually fit all the way yet. And we're going to be working with that. We need to cut out a notch here for the shoulder of this to fit right in there so that it goes on something like this. And I also need to leave this proud right here so that we can come in on the final fit up or shaping, I should say, and carve out, grind out a radius in here for the finished contour of the finger guard, and have it match up very nicely in a continuous radius with the tang at this point right here. So first thing I'm going to do is clean this up a tad. I don't want a sharp corner in there because that could be that would be a stress riser, so I'm gonna radius that out a little bit. It's all good, and you're not gonna see this, but it's an important thing. And I'll use this file that doesn't have teeth on the edge, so I can just file the flats and not cut into the radius so much. And then this just fits in there like that. Voila. But I have to radius this little shoulder right there so that it fits our radius. It actually goes in there tight instead of just sitting away from it. All right, got that located on there pretty good. But now I need to make sure this is at the right angle here. And I'm looking at this, it's just gonna have to kind of be by eye because there's no, well, I guess the back of the handle is pretty much a 90 degree. So I'll use my square and we'll see if that looks right. It's got to look right too. I think that will be though. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So we'll make sure that's set in there like that. And then I need to clamp the guard to the knife here, but I got to have room to drill some holes. This is why vice grips are so important in the knife shop, because they're a quick and effective clamping mechanism. And you always need a bunch of them. Okay, this'll work great. So we ended up with a little extra stock hanging off of here, which is perfect because I have to now drill a couple of holes in here for brass pins that are going to go through and will be peened over, and that's what's going to hold this guard solidly in place. Okay, I got my holes drilled in here. These are 5/32 holes for 5/32 pins. We'll have to thin the pins down just a touch probably to get them in. 1/8 inch would be more than adequate, but I don't have 1/8 inch pins right now. I thought I wanted to use something heavier on this, and that'll be just fine. Not really necessary. But that's what we have. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to take this off of here. I just want to double check on the placement of this guard and grind in a little bit of a radius. See what that finished radius is going to look like on the knife. Okay, I had to switch to a smaller radius to work in there, and I guess to finish it out we might use the bigger one that I started with. But anyway, I roughed out the guard a little bit so you can kind of see the direction we're going. I kind of wanted to make sure that everything was going to go as I anticipated before we solidify and get all of them fitted and heat treated. So really liking the way it's going. Nice generous finger space there, so if you got gloves on or whatnot, it's not gonna catch or be too small in there. So I think this is gonna work out real nicely. I like the direction that's going. So that's what it looks like taken apart. Just a couple little holes there. Still obviously plenty of material there for strength. And I'm marking these with center punch here. This has got one dot, and then the next ones will have their respective number of dots, so I make sure that I keep these as a pair from here on out. So 3 more to do. All right, now that we have our blades finished ground, they're not completely finished, but they're to the point where we can start attaching the guards and getting those installed. So let's start with number 1 here, and we'll match that up. Let me cut some pin stock. We'll start putting, oh, that's backwards. That's pretty lame. Okay, there we go. All right, we've got the brass pins peened over, and this is securely locked on there now. Next, I'm going to solder this, and really the only reason I'm doing that is to provide a watertight seal between the brass and the steel here, so that there's no chance of moisture getting in under that and then down into under the scales, and that would cause rust and eventual compromise of the structural integrity. Now, soldering doesn't require super high heats, but I am going to use my oxygen propane torch just to get more heat on there faster, so that we're not spending a lot of time heating this up and then letting it creep into the blade, because obviously we can't allow that to happen. Okay, a little sloppy there. I'm gonna have to work on my technique a bit, but all that's gonna clean up and it'll look a lot better when we're finished. So I just want to point out here, you'll see some solder on the back side here where we applied it from the top, but it has, you know, reached through that entire joint. That's a good sign. That's something you do want. So it's going all right. I had to come back and fill in a little hole there, but coming together. Two of these are going to have black canvas micarta handle scales, and 2 are going to have desert ironwood. We have all our handle scales prepped, so next I need to make sure that these corners fit into the shoulders of the bolster nice and tight, nice and clean, and then we can drill the bolt holes that are going to hold everything in place. All right, we got a nice Scotch-Brite finish on the grinds here, and this is sanded out to 120 grit, buffed out the brass. So for those of you who are concerned about the micarta being slippery, if you finish it out to 220 grit, did I say 120? 220 grit, leave it at like that, and then just give her a little WD-40 conditioning. It's plenty grippy, and the more you use it, the more it gets grippy. So I'm gonna slap a logo on this thing and take some pictures. Alright guys, well this was a fun project. I enjoyed building these knives. Hopefully you enjoyed coming along for the ride on these Alaskan Moose Hunters. I'll show you some pictures in just a second here. As always, appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you on the next video.